Hello everyone, welcome to the long form pour of my Halloween dice that have orange orbs and then that purple color shifting cloud. We're starting off here with a strip of mylar that I like to crinkle as a whole before I start cutting it. I used to cut it into specific sizes and then try and crinkle each tiny bit, and you just don't get quite as good of crinkles as if you do the whole thing and then cut it to the size that you want. Now I am making... Let's see, there's 7 dice. So I made at least 8 balls here because I always like to have an extra. After I had filled all of the little molds with the mylar, I moved on to mixing up the resin. Now, originally I was making these to make Willow, like the Taylor Swift music video kind of crystal balls, but when I pulled them out, they didn't quite have the right look for what I was going for. So I've actually had these sitting to the side for a while trying to figure out what to do with them. But I definitely made it with some resin that was just left over at the end of a pour because look how thick it is. There is just nothing coming up into that syringe. And for some reason, I was like, yeah, no, I could totally do this. When in reality, all I'm doing is injecting a little bit of resin and a lot of air into that mold. And I was watching this video while I was editing it. Oh, my favorite is right here, where I'm like, what if I just mush the resin in, even though the whole like mold is filled with a crinkle that I need to like get the resin down into. Yeah, that was a bad idea. But I just kept doing this thing where I kept filling it up in that tiny, tiny little syringe. Oh, but then again, I don't know what else I would have done. I couldn't smash it in. The syringe is so small that you actually can't put it in the other side because it'll just get stuck. So this was just my life. But I did eventually get them all filled in. And I had to do at least one round of repairs because once the pressure pot crushed all the air inside the mylar crinkles, there was not enough resin to fill it. So this one definitely took at least one round of repairs. But eventually I came out with those very cute little orangey balls. And like I said, they've been sitting on my bench for a long time. And now that it's getting to be fall season, I was like, oh yeah, I should just use them to make a Halloween set. So I thought of, very witchy, like smoke, like wispy kind of vibe. And so I'm pouring in just 1 drop of my favorite black alcohol ink. Well, it's technically like a very dark gray. It's Slate by Bria Reese. And I did use it from the original bottle, which gives a bigger drop because I did want it to cover the whole like layer, face, flatness of the resin that I had poured in before. I am using the extra resin here. Originally, I thought that I was slushing it around, but the more I watched this video, because oh my God, I've watched this video so much, I see that I actually made a little portal to put the orb in, just to make sure it wasn't too smothered by the black ink. So, yeah, good job, Pass Lauren. I like how I entirely forgot about that. But that happens. And I think another reason that I didn't pour this before is that the orbs are too big for the D4. And I was like, what am I going to do? I don't have anything that like looks the same. And then I realized I could just cut one in half. So I used my flush cut pliers and I just mangled one until I got it to be half sized. And there we go. Got to put it in the D4 and it fit perfectly. Now that we have all that in and I know how full the dice are, I'm going to mix up the second half. Well, yeah, the second half of the dice. I really love a black cloud with a purpley color shift in it, and it's just absolutely perfect for spooky witchy season. So this is a pigment from, I believe it's Dreamland Watercolors, only because that's pretty much all I have, and that is what I love to use the most. But these pigments are super expensive. Like that little tub there is $10 at the cheapest. So I only put just a little bit in so that I don't go overboard. And coming up here, you're going to see when I did like the little flick and the pigment caught the wind because I probably had my AC on because it's been hot. And yeah, it flung pigment all over my mold. Yep, right there. So I was like, great. I probably ended up having to use some tape to pull that off before. Oh no, I just smeared it around. Yep, good job, me. I was like, it doesn't matter if it gets in the dice. It's already in the dice. But, okay, so I add a little bit of clear there to basically try and slush the black forward and have a little bit of space between the black veil and this new cloud that's coming in. We shall see if that was successful, but that was my intent. And now, as is tradition, I'm going to poke my molds with some sticks. I'm using this, I think it's technically a cuticle pusher, but I really like it as a dice implement to basically push that cloud down closer to the face so that way it snuggles around the orbs a little bit more. I cut most of this out of the main video because it's super repetitive and not super interesting to watch. But hey, you all get to see it. I did do them to all of the molds. I think this pour was actually about 10.5 minutes in its entirety. I cut it down a lot for you and for the reel, but this one took a while and a lot of it was poking, I think. After this, I topped them back up. I definitely used my lighter to make sure that there are no bubbles. There we go. And then after letting them sit for just a little bit longer, it was time to put the tops on and put them in the pressure pot.